Power is not loud. Control is not reactionary. In the heat of confrontation, those who win are not those who shout the loudest, throw the first punch, or overpower their opponent with sheer aggression. Those who win are those who remain calm, cold, and calculating. Niccolò Machiavelli, though born centuries ago, understood this with frightening clarity. His writings whisper the truths most dare not speak, that emotion is often the enemy of power, and that to stay calm in the face of conflict is to remain sovereign. In a world that thrives on outrage, where social media rewards outbursts and weakness masquerades as virtue, the ability to remain unmoved, undisturbed, and unshakable is a rare form of psychological warfare. Machiavelli didn't believe in fairness. He believed in results. And when applied to the modern man, his philosophy becomes a mental weapon. The calm man commands a storm. Let us dissect the art of staying calm in confrontation, not as a passive gesture of politeness, but as a ruthless form of dominance. A man who can control his reactions can control the narrative, the outcome, and his opponent. Staying calm is not a sign of weakness. It is the highest level of strategic restraint. Imagine two leaders in conflict. One loses his temper, rants emotionally, and makes decisions driven by rage. The other waits, watches, and calculates. Machiavelli would call the second man a prince, the first a fool. In every confrontation, whether physical, verbal, professional, or emotional, you're being watched, assessed, measured, and whoever keeps their soul still wins the battlefield. Why do people confront you in the first place? Because they want a reaction. They want control over your emotional state. They want you to validate their importance by responding, reacting, exploding. Confrontation is not always about truth. It's about leverage. And the moment you lose control, you lose leverage. Machiavelli would tell you, people often attack with a fear or envy. But when you react emotionally, you prove them right. You let them win. You confirm that they can reach you, that they live in your mind. But when you remain unmoved, they panic. They double down. They question their own power. The most terrifying opponent is not the loudest. It is the one who listens in silence, whose face reveals nothing, whose heart rate never rises. That man becomes untouchable. This is not about suppressing your emotions. This is about mastering them, learning to use them with precision, like a scalpel, not a hammer. People who cannot control themselves do not deserve to lead. Machiavelli knew that if you cannot rule yourself, you will be ruled by others. So how do you stay calm in confrontations, even when your blood boils? How do you maintain control when attacked, provoked, insulted, or betrayed? It begins with perspective. Machiavelli advised rulers to see people not as who they pretend to be, but as they are. Human nature, he said, is selfish, deceptive, and guided by self-interest. Expect betrayal. Expect conflict. Expect manipulation. That way, when it arrives, you are not surprised. You are prepared. Preparation kills panic. Your calmness must come from understanding, not ignorance. You expect the attack. You've already visualized it. So when it arrives, you are already ahead. This mindset creates emotional armor. You don't get emotional over what you've already predicted. You don't react to what you've already seen coming. You move like a strategist, not a servant of emotion. Now understand this. Most people operate through emotional reaction. That makes them predictable. Predictability is weakness. When you remain calm, you introduce unpredictability into the equation. They don't know what you'll say. They don't know if you're angry, indifferent, or already planning your next move. That mystery is power. Machiavelli said, "A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men, and to imitate those who have been supreme." Who were the great men of history? They were not emotionally fragile. They were calculated, patient, unmoved by insults, criticism, or temporary discomfort. They knew that in confrontation, the long game wins. Most people in confrontation play for the moment. They want to win the argument. You play for the outcome. You aim not to win the skirmish, but to win the war. That is Machiavellian calm. Let's go deeper. A calm man in confrontation uses stillness as intimidation. When you're being yelled at, insulted, or emotionally baited, and you just look back with neutral eyes, you reverse the pressure. The aggressor starts to feel exposed. Their performance falls flat. Their dominance crumbles. Why? Because they can't control you. And nothing frustrates a manipulator more than their inability to provoke a reaction. Stillness is your sword. Machiavelli taught that reputation is crucial. A prince must appear composed, competent, and in control. Even if behind closed doors, he feels pressure. Appearance is reality. So when confronted, your outer stillness builds an inner narrative. He's too powerful to be rattled. People respect composure. Even your enemies admire it. Why? Because deep down, everyone wishes they had it. But calmness is not just for show. It allows you to see more. When you're angry, your vision narrows. Your breathing changes. Your body becomes reactive. Your mind stops processing. But when you're calm, you observe. You notice the weak points in your opponent's logic. You hear what they're not saying. You read their body language. You gain a strategic advantage. You stop being a participant and become a predator. And here's the truth Machiavelli would whisper into your ear. Sometimes letting the other person explode is your greatest victory. Let them yell. Let them reveal their insecurities. Let them show the world their instability. You just sit back and collect information. Because the man who speaks less in war often learns the most. The longer you stay calm, the more your opponent reveals. When they insult you, that's insecurity. When they raise their voice, that's lack of control. When they try to dominate the conversation, that's fear disguised as confidence. You learn all this by staying silent. But silence is not passive. It's tactical. You are calculating your next move while they're busy proving your superiority. Let them try to shake you. The more they push, the more they exhaust themselves. Eventually, their flame dies out. But you're calm. It becomes your legend. Machiavelli would say, use your enemy's emotions against them. If they're quick to anger, give them a reason to get angry. If they're insecure, poke gently at their pride. If they want validation, deny it. All while maintaining your composure. This is psychological dominance. Control your face. Control your body. Control your words. Here is a secret. The calmer you appear, the more powerful you seem. People will begin to imagine that you know something they don't, that you have plans they can't understand. And that fear makes you untouchable. Because in a confrontation, everyone is playing chess. Most just don't realize it. Machiavellian calm isn't about being emotionless. It's about using emotion as a weapon, not letting it become a weakness. You must master the art of self-possession. When someone disrespects you publicly, your instinct may be to react, but your power lies in restraint. Look in the eye. Say nothing. Let the silence destroy them. Respond only if necessary, and do so with surgical precision. One sentence, delivered calmly, with devastating clarity, is worth more than 1,000 emotional outbursts. The world fears a man who cannot be provoked, because if you cannot be moved emotionally, you cannot be controlled. That is the Machiavellian mindset. When confrontation comes, and it will, you must welcome it, not because you crave conflict, but because it reveals who is truly in control. And if you've built yourself into the man who has nothing to prove, who thrives in silence, who watches, calculates, and waits, then you don't need to win every battle. You've already won the war. Stay calm, stay focused, and never let them see you break. Welcome to the Machiavelli Guide. This is your path to power.